We've just spotted Sir Stirling Moss, who celebrated his 80th birthday just last week. So we're gonna dive in there and see if he's willing to give us a few words. So Sir Stirling Moss, congratulations first of all on celebrating your 80th birthday recently. I saw that you had wonderful celebrations at Goodwood last weekend. Are you fully recovered?
Well, I don't know about that, but I enjoyed it very, very much. I'm feeling still pretty tired and knocked out, but no, it was a wonderful occasion for me. I mean, Goodwood is terrific anyway, and it was very, very heartwarming.
I'm sure I saw that you had an awful lot of ladies on your arm as well. A man of your age, is that still something that excites you?
Well, they were supplied by Lord March, but my wife gave me permission, so it was okay to put my arms around them.
Now, my father-in-law recently gifted me a first edition of your 1955 book, How to Be a Racing Driver, which is a book that I found really wonderful and very eye-opening because it really describes what it was to be a racing driver back in that era. A man of 80 years old, still racing. It really makes me wonder, what is it that keeps you driving, makes you want to travel around Europe to come to these kind of events?
Well, I love this sort of car. I mean, I wouldn't want to race a modern car, quite frankly, but I love the historics and the people who go with it, the atmosphere. I mean, the excitement here, and the circuits we go to. I mean, Spa is one of the great of the modern circuits, one of the best in the world. And to be able to come here with a 1956 car, which is great fun to drive, is something I can't think of anything better.
Yes, your Oscar, we were admiring it earlier, and I've seen you driving it here before and at Le Mans. Can you tell us a little bit about that car? What's the history of the car?
Well, it's a 1956 Oscar. The original Oscar was called an MT4, which I had at Sebring actually, and then that was in '54. And then this one was the last type they made, because then there was the Maserati brothers, and because they couldn't use their name Maserati because they sold it, they called it Oscar, which of course stands for Officini whatever. So that's what it really is. And I must say, it's a lovely car to drive.
It's a very pretty car, and it's certainly really representative of the historic cars that we'll have here this weekend. I've been looking at the history of racing, and that's why I like to come to these kind of classic events. There are all sorts of rules and regulations coming in now that are stymieing what I see as the golden era. What do you see as the future of historic motor racing?
Oh, historic motor racing, I'm sure will continue, because the people love the cars so much. They have so much work and time and energy that they pour into the cars. So I'm really convinced that this must go on, because the cars are beautiful in their own right. I mean, they have so much more class than the modern cars, you know, let's face it. And the racing is still very competitive. I mean, the drivers pass, repass, and because they have their own foibles, you know. I mean, driving cars of my era, that is up to 1960 odd, the driver had more of an input, not because he's any better necessarily, but the cars of that era allowed him more input towards the capability of the car.
Yes, and we can obviously see you. It's an open car, and we can see you really wrestling with that steering wheel.
Well, my car's a 1500cc, and I feel it's about the right size for me, quite honestly. Some of these great big beasts I don't think I'm competent to handle, but I like to hope that I do fairly well with this one.
Roger Wills, driver of the 169 Comet in the 6 hours. We were very impressed to see you jump out of your Mini Cooper and straight into this, and congratulations, you're on P1 for the 6 hours. We're really interested to know, what's it like driving a car like this when you're expecting to be driving the Bizzarini this weekend?
Yeah, well, obviously it was huge disappointment on Monday when we realised that the engine had a problem on the dyno, and we'd really set ourselves up to do well in the Bizzarini. And I think my initial reaction was maybe, but we had an entry and we didn't want to lose it, and it was kind of a logical thing. And we had another year where we had a similar problem, and we ran my Cortina in the 6 hour and finished, and so it was it just had to be done, really.
So you're on P1. I already asked your co-driver Joe Twyman who you saw as your number one competitors, and he wasn't really sure. He said, speak to my co-driver, I think he knows who's going to be after us.
I don't know. I mean, the whole thing's about reliability. So at the end of the day, it could be a Mustang, it could be, it'll be something like that, and it's who gets a nice fuel change and doesn't have a problem, a delay getting fuel. It's, who has no mechanical problems. But it's probably going to be a V8 powered touring car, a Mustang, a Falcon, something like that.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. The big cars must employ a particular strategy for a long race like this, because it's really hard on the mechanicals. Are you using a particular strategy tomorrow?
Well, I think we're going to use less revs. We're going to change gear slightly earlier and try not to over rev the engine. I think we'll also definitely try and keep off the curbs, be gentle on the brakes, and you just got to. It's a long race, and you've just got to look after the car. So today I think our time was 3:02. I did a 3:01 yesterday. So we'll probably drop back to a sort of 3:06, 3:07, and I think that's kind of a decent pace that'll keep us near the front of the touring car class, and just try and finish.
Keep a constant pace. Now, it's interesting. I mean, it's a really technically challenging circuit, a long circuit as well. Where are the toughest places on this circuit for this sort of car?
Actually, I don't find the car looks massive, but it's not that difficult to drive. And everyone who's got in it and said, "Oh, it must be a beast," has been sort of surprised how easy it is. There are a couple of places where the size makes such a difference, and like the bus stops, one of them, also the hairpin up here, but it doesn't. It sits pretty well on the road, and even Eau Rouge, which everyone sort of freaks out about, is not. It's no problem. It goes through there pretty well.
So how do you drive into Eau Rouge? Where are you braking?
I'd have to sort of think about it. I mean, I don't know that I'm staying in fourth. I don't know that I'm touching the brakes on the way in. I'm taking the curb on the left, the curb on the right, sort of halfway up the hill, and then I'm changing down to third. I probably won't do this in the race, but for qualifying, when I touch the curb on the left again at the top of the hill, just to get a nice pull down the straight. And that seems sort of the quickest way through in a big thing like this.
And it's a long straight. You'll be reeling in the slower traffic, the cars from the lower classes. What's it like with the speed differential, and how do you deal with that traffic?
It's not too bad. You've just got to be very cautious overtaking, coming up on other cars. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who don't do a lot of racing and who, I don't know, don't really look in their mirrors or are not really aware of what's going on around them. And that it's the responsibility of the guy behind to get by. So you've got to watch out for all of the slower traffic and find a way to get by them without taking any risks. And you can get people in the braking area, sometimes even quick cars. So you've got to find your moment and be aware of what's going on around you. And the worst thing is having an accident and being out of the race. So try and keep it clean.
Keep it between the curbs, I think we say, right? What's it like driving in the dark?
It's fun actually. We've done a few 6 hours now, and it's a really special thing because it's, I don't know, sort of the evocative Le Mans type experience, and we're a bunch of amateurs and getting a go at it. It can be intimidating, and it's very difficult in the braking areas because they're very fast cars and with big bright lights and things, you can't really tell how quick they're coming up on you, and so you're sort of not really sure whether you should be turning in or you should be waiting, and that's the scariest thing, is just, you know, the cars closing from behind and not really knowing how quick they are and whether they're going to be on you in the middle of the corner when you've already, you know, committed to turn in. Otherwise it's fine, and it's actually, I don't know, it's kind of relaxing in a way. I remember a couple of years ago, you out the back of the circuit, you can smell, but you know, people camping, barbecues being cooked and things. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's really cool. It's very cool.
Very, very atmospheric. We're hoping to see you at the end of the night tomorrow. We're going to be having cameras on board with you. We're also hoping for a bit of rain because it makes it more interesting. How do you feel about the rain?
Well, you know, in a smaller car that handles better, rain maybe gives you a bit of an advantage, or at least the speed differential is not so great. But in a big car like this, rain's not a lot of fun, and it's not fun in the dark where you can't really see if there's a bit of oil down or something. So I'm kind of hoping it stays dry, but at Spa you never really know, and you know, most years there's a shower at some point, and you know, we just have to take it if it comes. But ideally it'd be nicer if it was dry.
Absolutely. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for you in that case. Best of luck in the race tomorrow, and look forward to joining you in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope we have a beer afterwards. Thank you.
Thanks very much.